In Part 1 of the Framework for Education, we discussed how law can set the guidelines for public education to operate. In this segment, Part 2, we'll review federal programs and constitutional amendments which protect teachers and students and provide governance for our educational system. The U.S. Constitution in Article 1, Section 8 provides for the general welfare of the United States. As a direct part of this, substantial federal support for research and instructional programs in science, math, reading, special education, career and bilingual education, and school lunch programs is provided. Other examples under the general welfare umbrella are the 1980 Asbestos School Hazard and the 1988 Indo-Radon Acts. The primary constitutional amendments which protect the rights of teachers and students are the First, Fourth, and 14th Amendments. The First Amendment safeguards individual liberties against government encroachment in areas of religion, expression, academic freedom, and freedom of assembly for clubs and organizations. The Fourth Amendment safeguards individual liberties against search and seizure, which could include drug searches and drug testing for students. The 14th Amendment addresses action by the state. No state shall deny a person equal protection or allow discrimination by race, gender, or ethnic background. It prohibits depriving citizens of due process. It requires compulsory school attendance, and it ensures both liberty rights and property or tenure rights. In addition to the articles and amendments, Congress enacts funding laws. Two of the most far-reaching were the 1785 land grants and the 1965 Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Title I of this act provides financial assistance to local educational agencies and schools with high numbers or high percentages of children from low-income families to help ensure that all children meet challenging state academic standards. Other funding laws by Congress and federal agencies include the Bilingual Education Act of 1968. This was the first piece of U.S. federal legislation that recognized the needs of limited English-speaking ability students. It was later merged with other similar bills into the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, ESEA, which was the most comprehensive law offering financial assistance to schools. The Education for All Handicapped Children, 1975, passed to recognize and protect the rights of special needs students. It later morphed into the IDEA in 1990. And No Child Left Behind, signed by Bush in 2002, reauthorized the ESEA and included Title I provisions for disadvantaged students. When the No Child Left Behind Act was signed into law in 2002, it was the most comprehensive reform of the ESEA since it was enacted in 1965. Its intent was to improve the performance of public schools. No Child Left Behind mandated that states implement accountability systems, standards in reading and math, annual testing in grades 3 and 8, and options for students to choose to attend other schools within the district. Nevada requested and was approved for a waiver from the NCLB. To qualify, the U.S. Department of Education required that Nevada design an alternative plan. The Nevada Waiver Plan determined that schools would be rated 1 to 5 stars based on an index of achievement, growth, gap reduction, average daily attendance, high school graduation rates, and participation and performance in advanced coursework, the ACT, and the SAT. The plan also proposed to increase proficiency rates in English, language arts, and math from the 50th to the 90th percentile of current state performance by the 2016-17 school year. Districts must create focused schools for intervention for low-income, English learners, and disabled, and priority schools for the lowest performing. A new system of teacher evaluation was implemented to encourage effectiveness. To address teacher performance, the Nevada legislature created the Teachers and Leaders Council to be administered by the State of Nevada Department of Education. It was tasked to develop a statewide performance system to ensure that teachers are evaluated using multiple fair, timely, rigorous, and valid methods, which include pupil achievement data as required by the NRS. It also requires that teachers receive quality feedback on their performance, which will help them continuously improve. The new statewide performance evaluation system was named the Nevada Educator Performance Framework. During the 2015 legislative session, the passage of AB 447 made changes to the Nevada Revised Statutes. Revisions included adjustments to the timeline for implementation and the required percentage of student achievement data for the student outcomes portion of the evaluation. Changes were also made to the number of required evaluations and observations of probationary and post-probationary teachers. Nevada has also made changes in the curriculum by embracing the Common Core standards for public schools. The Common Core standards are a set of shared goals and expectations for the knowledge and skills students need in language arts and mathematics at each grade level. The standards establish what students need to learn, but they do not dictate how teachers should teach. Public educational institutions must also comply with civil rights laws enacted by the federal government. Some of these provide substantive rights to protect citizens from discrimination. The 1964 Title VII Civil Rights Act prohibits employee discrimination on the basis of race, color, sex, religion, or national origin. The 1967 Age Discrimination Act protects employees over 40. The 1972 Title IX bars gender discrimination. The 1973 Rehabilitation Act prohibits discrimination against persons with disability. The 1974 Family Education Rights and Privacy Act guarantees parents access to their children's records. The 1983 ensures the private right to bring suit for damages against persons acting under state laws. The 1990 Americans Education with Disabilities Act provides specific protection against discrimination in employment in public facilities. After Congress passes a law, administrative agencies issue regulations to assist in implementation. Through these activities, numerous federal agencies influence state and local education policies. Examples of agencies include the Department of Education, established in 1980, the Office of Civil Rights, and the Environmental Protection Agency. Although not considered regulatory, open meeting laws in each state provide for public access to governmental meetings. The Nevada Open Meeting Law was enacted in 1960 to ensure that all the state actions and deliberations of public bodies be conducted openly. NRS 288 also lists those meetings which are not considered open meetings. This concludes the Framework of Education, Part 2.